Happy Tuesday and welcome to the Wolff Den presented by Win Again Academy. I'm Matt Wolff, founder and CEO of Ticket Time Machine. Today we have Robyn Fink in the Wolff Den. Robyn, welcome. How's everything going?
Everything's great. Thanks for having me. I like the opening music. It gets you in the groove.
Canva. I might have to, they have some other ones too. I'm going to have to check out what else they got. But you're a University of Florida graduate.
Sure am. Go Gator.
Those listening who don't know who you are, give us just a quick introduction and then we'll sort of get into everything.
First, again, thanks for having me. I am currently Director of PR and Partnerships for CKE Restaurants, which is the parent company of Carl's Jr. and Hardee's, two iconic burger and biscuit and chicken brands. Prior to that, I was the Director of Consumer PR for Carnival Cruise Line, and then spent many years on the agency side, dabbling in sports here and there, and got it all started at a sports information department at University of Florida. So shout out to Jeff Camus and Steve McLean, who got me going in this world.
Yeah, are you from Florida?
Born and raised, one of the few.
And not in Gainesville. There's a lot of people born and raised. I was
not in South Florida.
I guess that's true. Not born, but living there. Coming from New Jersey, it was a lot more expensive to go to UF than if you had the Florida prepaid. So there weren't as many of us, but surprisingly, there was a ton of people from my high school who went there. And you went to UF. Did you know you were going to go to UF from the start? I mean, when did you know?
I mean, growing up before Florida prepaid and everything, I had dreams of going to UCLA. My mom thought I was going to go to LA and never come back. And then in high school, I got involved in our TV production station, and then started looking at Syracuse. But then I was like, that's too cold for me. And I knew Florida always had a great journalism school, so I actually went into Florida as a broadcast major, tape in hand, and the professor was like, "Yeah, come back when you're a junior, take your classes." And me, being the eager beaver that I was, decided to start volunteering at Sports Information, and that's how I kind of got involved in sports and fell into that world.
Yeah, Syracuse, obviously probably the first university that comes to mind when you talk about communications. But
yeah, Syracuse, Northwestern, probably Florida's right up there.
Yeah, I went to community college for 1 year in New Jersey, and we always used to say we went to UCLA. It was the university closest to the Lincroft area. That was the big joke for our Brookdale community. Shout out to Brookdale Community College, who's won some national championships in baseball. But I was there 1 year and then transferred in. So you started wanting to be a broadcaster, and then you kind of went more into the information and the PR world.
Behind the scenes. Yeah, I wanted to be the next Robin Roberts. She's someone I always looked up to, and then being told that come back, and also realizing that I was probably gonna have to start a career in a very, very small town, which I did not want to do. I knew I could always make a tape if I wanted to go back into broadcast, but went the sports information and got my degree in public relations.
Did you ever end up submitting any tapes?
I didn't.
No, you didn't.
No, I got hooked into sports. I interned with the Miami Dolphins and then the Florida Panthers. And then it was, that and agency world.
Once you get that taste, right, it's hard to leave. And Robin Roberts, who's a Hall of Famer in my eyes, I don't even know if they have. I know they have Hall of Fame for that, but now she's not even doing sports, right?
Not. I mean, her, Leslie Visser, there was like the women who laid the groundwork for all of today's sports broadcasters.
And now it's huge. I mean, women on ESPN, whether they're anchors on the sidelines.
Linda Cohn, yeah.
It's there was some controversy with was it Mina Grimes? I don't want to say it wrong.
That was in the locker room with the Boston team.
No,
years ago.
About discrimination, like the reverse discrimination on why someone got the job. It was from ESPN. I don't want to. I apologize. I didn't mean Mina Grimes. It might not have been her. Someone on the sidelines. I'm pretty sure it wasn't Mina. Anyway, we'll have to get back to that. But a lot of women all over sports.
My fellow Gator, Erin Andrews.
Yeah, Erin Andrews. Yeah, she did a great job. But with women in sports, it wasn't as open of an environment as it is now, right?
I don't think it was. No, I mean, you had your few, but they were few and far between, and they were just on the, the major stations. Now, every local station you turn on probably has a female sportscaster or two, which is great. I love seeing it.
Yeah. Now, I have, there's going to be people who have their opinions about women in sports. I think anyone can watch the game and understand the game and have good analysis of the game. It doesn't matter if you're male or female, if you're watching a women's sports or a male sports. There's a ton of people, and this isn't male or female, that claim to be big sports fans, but they really don't know what they're talking about.
Right.
And that's women and men. But I think that it feels like women kind of get put in that corner, more often than men. And I
mean, I think you will have women that like to watch the sports to pick up guys, which I see no harm in that. But then you also do have females, coming up the ranks. I think the NBA has so many executives in, females in executive positions now, and you're seeing it on the sidelines as coaches and on the field I think there's the first female, NFL referee. So it's amazing to see, throughout sports, in front of and behind the scenes now.
I think it was my brother, Evan, of course. I think it was Rachel Nichols was the one who was in the news the other day for her sort of off the record comments about a fellow broadcaster. And I don't think it was anything intended to the other.
Oh yes, and she was pulled from NBA the finals. Yes.
The finals. That was so.
Good call, Evan.
Evan was. I don't think he knew that was it. He was naming, or maybe it was Maria Taylor. Yeah, Maria Taylor. Okay, Evan did get it for us. So thanks for tuning in, and thanks for that. Yeah, it's just broadcast. When you're talking about sports and opinions, people are wrong more than they're right anyway. It doesn't even matter who you are. So it's really just all of these are opinions. And you have the shows like, I don't know what shows you watch. I don't watch Skip, and I don't even watch Stephen A. Smith when they're arguing back and forth. Just sake of arguing. I like PTI.
I'll watch Around the Horn and PTI when I know fellow Gator Israel Gutierrez will be on.
Yeah.
So
I like PTI.
Gotta support my friends.
Yeah, I watch PTI often. I like the format, but they're also all doing the same stuff, right? The Around the Horn is basically talking about the same thing that people are. So they keep I don't know, finding out new shows. I know Levitard was on, in South Florida, Levitard and his crew and Poppy. Yeah, it's interesting, the sports world. I always wanted to work in sports also. And then you find out sometimes, depending on what your role is, that it might not be as glamorous as you thought it was, right? That people want to jump in sports. Like I knew the guy who was the ticket guy for the Gators, and he basically was working up through at least halftime of every event. He got to go to all of them, but he missed a lot of stuff where he has to really be working instead of it. On the flip side, people don't leave sports jobs once they get them, so it's a lot harder to get, and then you need the experience to get it. So how did you get those internships, and is that what propelled you into being able to work in the sports industry?
I annoyed my way into the Dolphins internship. Still very good friends with my boss, who's now at Make-A-Wish Foundation. He jokes, he's like, I had to hire you so you would leave me alone. But I'm in PR, we're persistent, and I believe, as you've seen, especially in this past year, like you have to be aggressive, you have to be proactive in order to get what you want. So, my Dolphins internship forlayed into my Panthers internship, and then I went the agency route. But throughout my career in agency, I always happened to work on brands and accounts that activated in the sports world. So while my career didn't continue in-house with sports, I did spend a couple of years at University of Miami. A lot of my agency time was spent on brands like Verizon and MasterCard and Samsung, who all had major sports sponsorships. So I did get to see the best parts about working in sports and going to Super Bowls and NBA All-Star Game and Major League Baseball All-Star games. So it was great. And even when I was in-house, we worked with sports too, actually.
Yeah, it's great to be able. I have a friend who worked for an organization and traveled for like 15 years, and he's like got sick of traveling to All-Star Game. I'm like, I'd like to get sick of traveling to those kind of games. what you're starting the agency now. Now you're on the brand side. We're going to get into Carnival and CKE.
Mhm.
What's the big difference in agency and working on the brand side? And is it an easy transition? Is there always a learning curve? I mean, there's always a learning curve when you're moving from one organization to the next, regardless.
Right. Yeah, I think working in an agency is great. I think no matter what field you're in, if there's an agency component, it's the best way to get experience. What's great about agency world is you can work on multiple clients at a time. So you're always being able to be creative and be pulled into brainstorms. But I think, my agency experience definitely set me up to be successful on the brand side. And I think my agencies now appreciate the experience that I had, or they don't, I don't know. Because I've been where they are. So I'll always fight for the agency, especially in PR, because we're not often the lead agency in an integrated system. But I'll also, I won't hesitate to call them out, because we know what, things agencies pull when it comes to budgets or times and deadlines. But I loved my agency time. I got to work on, like I said, some amazing clients and with some great people. But I knew I'd always wanted to dip my toe in on the brand side.
And for the agency and the brand, it's PR. Were you mainly on sponsorships and partnerships?
It was always PR agents. It was actually always PR. So we were always hired to do the PR leg of the sponsorship. So, one of the favorite programs I worked on was Verizon, and it was around, 2 Super Bowl activations, and they had the thematic, and we were responsible for getting the press around it. So, for a week we worked with Drew Brees and Curtis Martin. And so it was actually the year the Super Bowl was in New York. So, getting them interviews for the brand on behalf of the program.
Yeah, we have another journalism school graduate from the University of Florida, Brent. I don't know if you might have seen him at some of the Gator events. I travel with him to some of the events. Big supporter of the Wolff Den.
Hi, Brent.
With PR and marketing, I mean, a lot of this stuff ties together: partnerships and sponsorships and PR and marketing. And then you have the agency and the brand, and then you have management companies, and everyone has their hand in it. And sometimes there's not a lot of synergy between them and collaboration. How do you navigate through that? Is that one of the more difficult parts of the job?
I think it all comes down to relationships, because that's what's going to, one, help you secure talent, one, get you a good deal on talent, and it's those relationships that have come to me throughout my career and that were really helpful last year when I was laid off, because of the pandemic. I was able to tap into those relationships for freelance work. And, when I started at CKE, I reached out to those same, contacts and figured out ways to bring in their talent to work on CKE, whether it be a social post or an appearance. And so it's also knowing what your role is and being able to make sure that you have a seat at the table. If we're working on a contract for a deal, I need to make sure that I get a chance to see the contract before it's signed, to make sure that there are hours for a player appearance or social posts involved, because it's always more expensive to go back in and negotiate those once the contract's signed, whether it be with a talent, like Shaquille is our chief fun officer at Carnival, or for a team deal.
Yeah, it's always best to negotiate at the front of something than going back. I always tell people, even when you're looking for a job or anything,
yeah,
you could always go
back and ask for more vacation once you use all yours up.
Yeah, and for me, I couldn't go and ask for more vacation, even if it was unpaid. After I got the job, I actually lost two opportunities, which is a blessing, right? Because you kind of don't want to work. You see something that a company does, and then you're like, well, I don't really want to work for a company that wouldn't let me take 5 extra unpaid days. And when you're in sales, it's like, I'm going to still produce. It's interesting how that works. But having the seat at the table is important. Having your ideas actually have a chance to live on and be something that people use is important. So how have you gotten to that to be important for you as you're going forward, and not just someone who's behind the scenes and you give all these ideas? I mean, I was at an organization, I gave all these ideas, nobody cared until you're at a certain level.
Right.
Zoom and a PR, marketing type environment, it's a little bit different.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just making sure that especially now, I mean, now it's a little bit harder because so many meetings are on Zoom, but, back in the day at Carnival, in an open floor plan, we were very tight-knit marketing function. So I was in meetings every day with the director of advertising, director of media, partnerships. So we always knew what the other was doing, and you would hear people talking. And if it was something that I didn't know about, I would just invite myself to a meeting or stand up and be like, "Hey, what are you guys talking about?" Or bringing those people in. Like, again, it's relationships. Like, you can't undervalue how important that is in any role at any level.
Yeah, and you never know who someone is, who they will be, where they will be. It's like, I don't even know if it's true, but they had that story about the guy who saw someone in a parking lot and was really rude to him, or on public transportation, and then he ended up being the guy who interviewed him the next day, or walked into his office. I'm not sure how true that is, but it went viral, and there's always stories about that. But you just never know who's going to be where, and they might go. Treat the little guy like you treat the big guy, because they could go from the small organization to someone who represents the most famous people, and they'll remember how you treated them.
Exactly.
The transition from agency to brand, was it something that you wanted to do? Was it just an opportunity that arose? How did that come to be?
It was definitely something I always wanted to do, but I knew that I wasn't just going to go in-house for any company or any industry. It had to be something that I was definitely interested in and passionate about, because one of the big differences between agency and brand is, like I said, agency, you can be working on multiple clients a day. When you're working for Carnival Cruise Line, you're working for a cruise line day in and day out. Now, things are different each and every day, and what we did and things on ships, and same with CKE, but I'm talking burgers all day, every day. So I better like it. So, it was just an opportunity I happened to stumble upon on LinkedIn. And, it was scary. I was super excited. I was in New York for 10 years. I was ready to make the move. But I'd never worked in travel. So I was lucky that I came into a great team that really knew the cruise industry and opened their arms and, like, taught me a lot. Like, there wasn't a day that went by that I didn't learn something at Carnival, and here now too. Like, you have to be open to learning. You can't be that person that comes in and is like, I'm going to shake everything up. Like, I always say, listen and learning are the best things you can do your first 3 months at any job, but especially in-house. And so, once you're in-house, transitioning to another industry is still, different and interesting, but it's a little bit smoother because the politics of being in a corporate organization.
Yeah, like 20 years ago, Carnival was the cruise line. Everyone, if you asked me, that was the cruise line that everyone said. Now there's a lot of other cruise lines out there. How do you stay relevant as a cruise with all this other competition?
I mean, I think it's for any
time it takes. It takes a long time to build a new ship and build out a new ship, so you can't just
2 years. But I think it's knowing your audience. Like, Carnival was all about fun and family. We sailed the most military. We sailed the most children. So we knew who our audience was and who to go after. Royal does sail a lot of families, and Celebrity's a little bit of an older crowd, and you have Virgin coming into the play with the adults only, which will be interesting. But it's really knowing your audience and doing things that will resonate with them and have them coming back.
What was the favorite cruise you went on?
My favorite cruise I went on?
Yeah. Where to? Or what was on that cruise?
There's two. One was my first cruise. It was I had started in March, and in May we were on a press trip for our new ship at the time in Europe. So 2 months in, I was in Europe, and I was the new kid, and I wouldn't, leave my coworker Vance's side, but I got to know the media really well. And then I would say we did a press trip for Jay Leno. We had Jay Leno performing, and we had a great group of press, and it was just a really fun group. So that was probably two of my favorite cruises.
Yeah, I won in high school. We went on a family cruise, and I split with this my friend we won bingo. We won like $500. And we're young. That was remember, now I go on music cruises. Six Man does a lot of them, and Cloud9, Pollen's getting into some good stuff. Highly recommend, if you're a music fan, to head on to. There's so many good cruises with great artists. It's not a regular cruise. It's not relaxing at all, depending on what year. It's like going from one place to the next, headphone disco at 2 a.m., but really a great time, which I would recommend.
Sister Hazel would do a cruise.
Yeah, that's the one I started with, the rock boat. I've been on 6 rock boats, I think. 5 or 6. I have on 5 because I have a jacket that you get. You spend $20,000, they get you a nice jacket.
There you go.
To go on there. But no, Six Man and Sister Hazel, they do a great job with the cruise, and they're all about knowing your audience, and that's exactly what the people want when you go on a cruise, and what you would expect if you go on a music cruise. You kind of left the cruise industry right around the pandemic. How would you handle something like that in a cruise industry that's just shut down, and you got, millions of people who want to go on and mad about, and you're not really doing anything. So I guess you're kind of planning ahead for uncertainty. How would you have handled that?
I left, a lot of people left, not by choice, during this pandemic. We were one of the last lines to do our layoffs. It was a testament to our senior leadership at the top and being just a great, stable company. But when I was laid off, it was tough, but it was one of those things that I didn't do anything. I didn't cause a pandemic, but even before our layoffs, it was right, from March till May, it was just really trying to provide as much information as you can to your guests, and they understood. Like, it was, and the other thing was, it wasn't just Carnival. This wasn't a Carnival problem. This was an industry problem. So every single cruise line was going through the same thing. What was unique was Carnival owns 9 brands. So a lot of the communications was at our corporate level, led by Roger Frizzell, and it would channel down to the individual brands. Now, Princess was kind of in their own island because they did have breakouts and were dealing with a lot of other stuff, but a lot of the communications was consistent, which is obviously super important in this world and during a pandemic. But people are passionate about cruising, whether it be for Carnival or Princess or Holland or Royal or Celebrity. Bookings are up, and now that the ships are going back out to sea, people are super excited to be back on board. And I think the lines are doing a really great job, putting the protocols and the changes into place. And it took a lot of people and a lot of organization. I saw just a little bit of it from when we were trying to get our crew all home last year. A lot of the cruise lines used our ships for transportation because you couldn't fly into the countries, and we had thousands of crew members that needed to get home. Yeah. So it was a lot of organizations and a lot of people behind the scenes making it happen.
Yeah. Any opinion on the legal battle in Florida with the cruises?
I can't talk politics. That'll take forever. No. Yes, I have an opinion, but I'm not going to share it.
Yeah. I figured I'd ask. It was in the news the other day, and I just hope a lot is on the line.
Let's just say I'm on the cruise line side, not the governor's.
A lot is on the line. A lot of people, workers.
It's not just the cruise lines. It's all the people at the port, the Ubers, the hotel industry in every city that the lines sail out of. Like, everyone was affected by this. And now that it's just starting to come back, you're going to mandate things that can keep it from coming back when airplanes have been flying for a year.
Yeah, you look at the Olympics that are coming up and how much money is lost. And that's really the only reason why they're doing it, is because of money. If it wasn't money, they would just say, all right, forget, we'll see you in 3 years. I think it's
but you did see last year, if you have good leadership, it can be done. Now, the Olympics are an anomaly all to itself, but what the NBA did in the bubble last year was top notch. I think they did a fantastic job. Even the NFL, that they were able to play the season. I'm sure they still lost revenue from advertising, because that's the first thing that gets pulled is ad dollars. And even last year with the pandemic, the first thing you're renegotiating are all your sponsorship deals. Because media is not running, there's no butts in seats, and that's how you measure success. So, but I think, it can be done, hopefully safe. It's sad to see a lot of the athletes that have come down with COVID because they trained for this their whole life. They missed it last year and now they're finally there. And then to come to, it's a crazy virus.
Feel for them. I hope
Yeah.
that these people get, an Olympic experience as best they can. Major League Baseball did a great job last season. I think I tweeted or I thought they were going to be done. I'm like, all right, something happened with the Marlins and the Reds, or
Mhm.
and I was like, all right, this thing's over in like a week. And they pushed through it and they found the way to do it, which was great to them. One thing we don't need to cry about is these people who say they lost all the money, like the leagues. They didn't lose money; they just didn't earn the money. Big difference,
They still did okay.
Yeah, they still did okay. It's like the periphery of it, of the people who really got hurt, and the fans also.
Well, it was the people, and I loved seeing like Mark Cuban, who paid for, the people that realize and take that extra mile, for the folks that worked, whose job is actually to work the concession stand, and they love doing it. Like, you always see those folks that have worked at an arena for 20 some odd years, both for whether it be hockey or the concerts, because they truly love doing it. And that was their income. So to see, owners and people that usually get ridiculed for making so much money truly giving back last year was really nice.
Yeah, I know the Marlins guy and the Marlins and Dolphins, and he's at the concerts too, selling the beer with his Corchester hat. I don't know if you ever see that guy. So you moved to Carl's, CKE. There are no Carl's in South Florida, is there?
Port St. Lucie is the closest Hardee's.
Okay.
There are several in Jacksonville. So when we go for Florida, Georgia,
Yeah.
Tampa, Orlando, but Port St. Lucie is the furthest south right now.
That's for Hardee's though. Carl's is more west. I try every fast food whenever I'm out there. Whenever I'm somewhere for at least once. So Jack in the Box and Carl's and all the famous.
Yeah, Carl's. I like to call them, they're like fraternal twins, and you being a twin, you can appreciate this. Is a lot of the menu items are the same, but they have the brands have different personalities, different audiences. Carl's Jr. is definitely a West Coast brand. We actually was in LA this past weekend celebrating our 80th birthday. It started as a hot dog stand in LA, and then grew to an international QSR chain. We just opened our 1,000th store internationally. Ironically, like, it's huge in Mexico and UAE.
Yeah.
So, and then Hardee's you'll see in the South and Midwest, and like I said, down to Central Florida.
Brent was given the old Hardee's jingle.
Yeah.
I feel like I did. My in-laws ate at Hardee's in Tampa, but I know I've eaten there before. I can't remember where. I always like to try them. I think they're all good. When you're on vacation and you're traveling, is a different experience than, hey, if it's, am I going to go to Wendy's or Burger King, and you have to make a choice. That's the different, different environment than if you're just traveling. You say, oh, let me try this. I can't get that back home.
Right.
Really something that I'd be curious to see how many people those are the people who visit these, as opposed to the people who are right around the corner and say, hey, I want to.
I mean, you definitely have your loyal fans wherever you go. You have people that love Hardee's. You have people that love, Carl's Jr. Now that dining rooms are opening back up, Hardee's is known for having like the coffee clubs, like the gentlemen coming in and having their coffee and just talking all morning, which is, you miss that. But I have to, it's funny because you watch like these chicken wars, for the past year, and we entered it not so long ago. And I have to say, I had the chicken sandwich for the first time this past weekend, and ours is pretty darn good. And I'm a Chick-fil-A girl growing up, still that's the one that's my go-to, but our chicken sandwich was top notch.
Have to try it. I haven't tried the Popeyes yet.
Neither have I.
Yeah, I probably will. And then I don't know, Burger King. It's always hard to tell until you get there. Like,
right.
Okay, what you put on TV, it's hard to tell until you get there, and then to see it. But yeah, was there any plans for expansion to get these into other areas?
I mean, we're always talking about it. We just hired a chief development officer, so he's kind of taking assessment of all of our restaurants and seeing what our growth plan is. but looking to obviously continue to grow both here and internationally for sure.
And Carl's and Hardee's is franchisee mostly?
Yes.
Is there an
Like
average?
95% franchisee?
Is there an average number? Do people usually have more than one? Is it just one? Does someone have 50 of them?
Oh yeah, we have some franchisees that have, a franchisees conglomerate that has hundreds of stores. We have a big franchisee group, both out west and for Carl's Jr. and several for Hardee's as well.
How much input do they have in stuff that goes on, as opposed to like, because when they have that much of it, you're almost
it's very interesting. Like
for the athletic department.
Yeah, I know it's a lot. Like when you talk about athletic department, I try and like relate every career move that I've had, and when you're on the industry side, you have your client obviously, and then when I worked at University of Miami, I oversaw all the Golden Canes and Living Scholars, so they are kind of like clients because they're biggest boosters, and you want to keep them happy. And then in the cruise industry, it was travel agents because they're such a big part of your business and they're such a big sales driver that they need to be involved. They need to be invited to the events. They need what's going on. It's like another audience. And then here at CKE, it's your franchisees who, board meetings and there's conferences in the fall where they all come to. So I got to meet a lot of them, of our LA-based franchisees this past weekend, which was great. But they definitely do have a say in promotions and things they want to run and all of that, because it's their money.
Yeah, and you have that many of them. It's you're getting a lot of customers. So if your customers don't come back and keep evolving, right, your offerings, because everyone's. My brother and I were in Japan. We had chicken wings from McDonald's. They were delicious. Every country has like different menu items, and it's funny to see that. Like I would never go to a fast food restaurant in a different country unless it was something like that. It was like, hey,
right.
I
didn't eat at it, but I remember seeing the McDonald's was it Jerusalem? I think in Jerusalem, and then there was one in Lisbon. The oldest one in Europe, I think, is in Lisbon.
Okay, I wonder what they have.
Fun fact.
Falafel?
I don't remember. I didn't eat there. I just walked in and took pictures of the beautiful stained glass.
Is CKE getting into the Beyond Meat world?
Yes, we have a partner. We were actually the first national QSR to bring plant-based protein. So we have a partnership with Beyond Meat for Carl's Jr. only. But we partner with them. We have the Beyond, any burger can be customized to have a Beyond patty. And we just did an event. My first event was for Earth Day with Beyond.
I've tried it. I used to eat veggie burgers and stuff like that. For me, I put enough stuff on my burger that it's almost not going to matter what it is, or chicken or Beyond Meat. I'm a bacon cheeseburger kind of guy.
Oh, then you would love the Western bacon cheeseburger.
What do you put on your burgers?
I do love my condiments. Nothing crazy though. Like I'm not an avocado person. I like just lettuce, tomato, pickle, onion, and then mayo or special sauce or whatnot.
Yeah, you'll appreciate this. We had Ari Solomon on. He's a 21-year-old. He's Orthodox. And I said, like, what would you like to try that you can't eat? Is like a bacon cheeseburger.
Yeah.
Brent with a little Pulp Fiction joke. We love movies and food and sports and travel on the Wolff Den, so we're always happy to talk about that. What surprised you the most about the industry when you first got there?
For QSR, I had dabbled in QSR when I was on the agency side. I worked on Taco Bell a little bit, but I think what surprised me the most is how many, and this is the same in corporate. But I thought, getting something done to do an event on a ship was tough. There's a lot of steps when there's franchisees.
Yeah, a
lot of things you need to make a case for in order for them to be like, okay, let's do that. That makes sense.
Is there a percentage? Like, hey, if 75%,
it's case by case.
Yeah. And what type of sports are you working on now?
We have a couple of partnerships through our media agency. We have a partnership with the Dodgers, the Phoenix Suns, I believe UT. We have a couple of schools up in Portland. So that's one of the things like I'm trying to do is get closer to the media team and really like look at the partnerships and evaluate them and see, how we can get the most out of our assets and really start to elevate them.
Yeah, it was interesting. I think it was Ronaldo. Was it Ronaldo who at the press conference took the soda off the press thing, and then he put water up, and they're like, "Yeah, well, they lost billions of dollars." I'm like, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But there's always this in the news about, hey, this cost them, or is all press good press? Is that, I mean, that's a cliche, but is that true?
I don't think all press is necessarily good press, because there's definitely times that you can get lambasted in the press and not have a good story. And, you have to have a good product, and we pride ourselves on good product. But there's incidents in any industry that will lead to negative press, and it's how you overcome it and turn it around. And it goes back to what I said, like, it's relationships. It's having those good relationships with the press that, nothing's ever off the record in PR world, and anyone knows that. But I think press is always a good thing if it gets people talking about a product. And if you have an opportunity to take a negative and turn it into a positive, then it can turn into good press.
Yeah, the craziest thing about that is what people will put in writing. It amazes me. I can't even believe the stuff that I see or that other people will actually put in writing. And I say, look, I'll tell you this till I'm blue in the face, but I'm not going to send an email saying that. And we all know this to be true. We got my boy Keegan. He's a 14-year-old moto racer, and he's looking for partnerships.
Yeah.
He's heading to Italy, I think this weekend or next week. Keegan, next week, going to Italy with on a special race. So he's a future champion. Someone's.
Yeah, it's funny because when I started at CKE, all the Facebook groups that popped up for freelancers, especially during the pandemic, which I found super helpful. But I made a comment, hey, I'm here if you rep people, and I'm pretty sure I said that if they have an affinity or really love the brand. But I was just getting roster after roster after roster from. I'm like, I don't want your rosters. Like, tell me, take the time and tell me who you work with that actually grew up on Hardee's or loves Carl's Jr. or worked there through high school. Those are the people I want to partner with, because there's nothing better than an authentic partnership. And I've seen those throughout my career. So I'm not going to pay thousands of dollars for someone just to like take a picture of a burger. I mean, sometimes you will, but for the most part, you want that organic relationship. Because I had it for 4 years with Guy and Shaq at Carnival. And so I know how well it works.
Yeah, I think it's more of a relationship that kind of meshes and fits, because you're still paying someone to push your product. Right. So it's a weird thing. Like if you like, we had someone on here and I referenced it and we were talking about something to do with working out. I was like, oh, what's your favorite protein shake? Because she mentioned that she takes one every morning. She's like, well, I'm not going to say anything if they're not paying me. I'm like, I support everyone who I think. Here's Sticker Mule. We're going to give an ad for Sticker Mule. This is from Sticker Mule. These guys
Egg Protein is my current protein
powder. These guys are great. Sticker Mule. Go buy from Sticker Mule. It's like a fathead, but you just steal right on. So it's just interesting, and we talk to people about foundations. Like, we had foundations who have galas where they have to pay artists to do stuff. And then I'm like, well, that kind of defeats the purpose of raising money for a cause. Yes. When you got to give $40,000, $50,000 to someone just to try and get more people. I understand the value of, spending money to make money, but it just, it seems.
And like these influencers and TikTokers and content creators, like, they have found a niche and they have built a career out of it. And their career is no different than mine or yours. But as a brand, you always want to work with influencers, bloggers, paid or unpaid. Like, a lot of times we do seeding with unpaid media. It's those bloggers that have smaller audience and they like getting free shit. Like, who doesn't? Yeah. And they are willing to write about it, but it's doing your homework, my team doing their homework, my agency doing their homework, and seeing, like, does the content match? Is this someone that would, properly reps the brand and what we stand for, and is someone we would partner with? And I think that should go for any brand.
I think the thing is that it kind of works even if you don't do it that way. Like Tom Selleck selling reverse mortgages. Right. Is he the reverse mortgage guy?
Yes.
Yeah, someone else there is like, yeah, I know that you don't use this product, or you couldn't, give two whatevers about it. But I think it works sometimes. It's just
Right.
something about a celebrity saying they do something.
I was on an interview with Shaquille once, and I think it was Wall Street Journal, and he was asked about all of his partners, and he said, "I don't partner with someone that I don't believe in." And he'll go through and he'll say the General was the first insurance company that gave him insurance, and he enjoys wearing Invictus. So you will find, and because those are also truly businessmen too, and men and women, like. So I think you're always going to find people that are just hacking a product. I think who's doing the new Verizon commercials now from Saturday Night Live.
Oh yeah, Kate McKinnon, right?
Yeah, I was like, that doesn't make sense at all. Like,
Right.
but you'll find ones that do have true partnerships, and some of them are actually invested in the brand. They have solid stake in the company.
Yeah. We're gonna put something together for Keegan and Hardee's and CKE. We did a cool trading card for Keegan.
There you go.
But he's going to be doing some great things. So we'll give you some ideas on how you could do it. As you said, Hardee's used to be a supporter of NASCAR, and he's different kind of speed, but kind of similar. Back to the all PR is good PR. I meant, I guess obviously sometimes you're in the news, it's bad, but for example, if I wanted to just print a ticket without caring about having copyright, and you kind of get someone's attention to where is that better than not getting that? If it's not good,
as long as it doesn't cost you money in the end, like, because you can get the attention and it's not the right attention, they can come after you for trademark.
Yeah, this is a funny thing too. The Hear Me Now guy went from one to the next, and I actually asked this question to someone because when I was at LexisNexis, when I was at LexisNexis, we got bought out. LexisNexis bought us out.
Mm-hmm.
And they were hawking a different data from what I was selling, and they had to switch it over. So it's like, how do you go from saying this is the best today to that's the best tomorrow, just because they're paying you, and that's where you go? It's kind of, so that's why I always say, like, let's talk about why our stuff is great and not why their stuff is bad.
Right.
Because you always can talk about your stuff, and you don't have to worry about saying, oh, well, you said this was this, and that stuff can change on a whim. There is some funny banter.
I think right now Pepsi is one of the most innovative marketing companies out there. I think it was like right around, I think it was last month when they were like, burgers go better with Pepsi. Like, they know a lot of QSRs have Coke. We're Coke. And their marketing campaign for burgers and Pepsi was phenomenal. Like, it was creative, it was edgy, and it got people talking. Yeah. So, and Taco Bell's another one that has always done fantastic marketing. I think they set the stage for social media in the QSR world, and probably a lot of food brands.
Yeah, Coke and Pepsi is the ultimate brand, right? Because you go into a restaurant, you ask for a Coke, and they're like, "Is Pepsi okay?" Right? I mean, that's just the way it is. And at the end of the day, it probably is okay.
Right.
I'm not a soda drinker. I love soda. I like Dr. Pepper, if that would be my choice if I did drink it. But I'm a seltzer person.
We have Diet Dr. Pepper
with alcohol and without alcohol, like flavored seltzer. But that's the fun between kind of, and they came together right during the pandemic to help people. So there's a lot of competition, but then there's a lot of like friendly banter you see online too, especially in the fast food world. I mean,
Burger King did that. I believe it was in Europe. They offered their Instagram up to small businesses that were suffering in the pandemic for like free advertising.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what they were doing. Yeah, that was a great story. And to me, I love following like Wendy's on Twitter. I mean, there's some really good ones. My favorite one was when Chick-fil-A wrote, "Is there anything better than having a chicken sandwich on Saturday?" It was like a football thing. And Wendy's was like, "Yeah, having our spicy chicken sandwich on a Sunday." I mean, it's a lot. It's funny. I kind of try and have my Ticket Time Machine Twitter will kind of be edgy like that and funny and kind of, I guess, push the envelope. I don't know. I think it
has to be culturally relevant. Like, I think, everyone is like, oh, Twitter's so old. I personally, I use each channel for different purposes, like whether it be personal or professional. Like to me, I love going to Twitter for news and banter and during any big cultural relevant moment, whether it be the Emmys, the Grammys, the Super Bowl. Like I just love Bachelor, looking at those hashtags and seeing what people are saying. And it's a good place to get news because it's easy. It takes less time for a reporter to tweet than file a story. So if you just want to hear what's going on quickly or get updates, to me, Twitter is still the place to go.
Yeah, and everyone's a reporter there.
Right? Well, everyone's a citizen journalist anywhere now.
Unfiltered.
Exactly.
Some wild stuff going on there. It's unbelievable what people can get away with. And that's, again, a whole nother conversation. I read a DM that someone shared, and I was like, how would someone even think to put that? It was so disgusting.
Well, that's the downside of Twitter, is you do it so quickly.
Yeah.
And once it's out, yes, you can delete it, but once it's out there, it's out there.
Yeah.
So, and especially, being in PR, like I love Twitter and I love getting into those conversations that sometimes lean a little political, and you do have that caveat, opinions are my own, because you do have the freedom of speech and you're allowed to voice those opinions. But, last year I was afraid to, because I was unemployed. I was looking for a job, and you didn't want to go so far left or right or whatnot because you didn't know who you'd be talking to. And, do you want to work for someone that doesn't let you have your opinions and speech? No, but still, this is a very competitive industry and field and time in our lives that we've never seen before.
Yeah.
You do have to be careful.
That's why no fact checkers. There are some fact checkers, but even the fact checkers need to be checked sometimes, because there is now people put things out there as fact when it's really not. And the average person doesn't look to even think about it.
Right.
The blur between news and the Onion is, right? Remember when the Onion, you're like, yeah, that's funny. And then you look at this like, wait, is this real or is this satire? It's crazy. One of the things I really love about having my own company is that I can say whatever I want and not have to worry about that. And it's a tough feeling, right? Whether it's your opinion on something, whether it's your, if you're gay and you don't want to come out as gay, or if you're whatever, you have mental health. And it's a really great feeling to be able to just kind of say where you stand and let the chips fall where they fall. There'll be people who maybe you don't want to do business with me because of how I feel. I like to think I'm on the right side of history, so I don't really worry about if I'm offending, certain people, people who aren't against stuff. But it's tough when you can't do, and that's how stuff doesn't get done, because people they don't have the ability to stand up and really support some of these causes that need it, because they're afraid that of what someone might say. So,
and it's okay to be different, and have your own. That's what makes the world go round. Like, life would be really boring if everyone was really the same. But we were actually having this conversation over the weekend. Is like, we don't have to agree on everything, but if you can have, to me, as long as you can have an intellectual conversation about your opinion and my opinion, and we can learn from each other, like, that's okay. But like, seeing certain things and people believing that this was the way it should be and this is the only way it should be, like, that's not US, but we're not here to talk politics.
The transition from being a brand and being liked and popular and funny to actually getting customers is a huge thing, because there's a lot of stuff I love to watch commercials but I'm not their customer.
Right.
How do you kind of toe the line between that and generate more customers with it not just being, popular?
Yeah, no, I think my boss is great. She loves pushing the envelope. We're a very innovative brand. Like, everyone has seen our previous commercials. We've turned the page from that, but I think, because we do have such a great product, but we still kind of pay a little bit of homage to it. We just did our first NFT, so that was a way of kind of honoring our past and then turning the page to the future.
The nice looking lady in the bikini eating a hamburger, was that you? That was you,
Charlotte McKinney? Yeah. The famous bite shot, as we like to call it. But I think, it's knowing how far to push it. We did something with OnlyFans, as a brand, and that's not something you would ever see a QSR brand doing. And that's where it's a little difficult, because when we have two brands that have that are both launching a new product, but the audiences are so different. You have to be careful because you don't want to completely alienate Hardee's while the Carl's audience may love it. So it's just, having that balance. But again, it goes back to knowing your audience and what they like. Because at the end of the day, it is about driving consumers into the restaurant to try a new product or to come back and be repeat customers.
Do they have a sense of where they are, and do they rank burger chains? Is it how do they rank you, by number of customers?
I mean, there's so many. There's sales and all of that. We have an amazing research team and insights team that puts out monthly reports, so we always know where we're standing and how we're doing.
For brand recognition, where do you think you guys are?
I would say in the middle. I think definitely in the markets, West Coast, people know Carl's Jr. Like LA, Carl's Jr. And it's funny because we were just there and we were in like Newport, Anaheim. Obviously LA has one on every corner, but like I didn't see a lot of In-N-Out burgers. Now I'm not looking for In-N-Out because I think they're overrated. But and again, in the South and the Midwest, people know Hardee. So you have the regional recognition. It's not, we're not McDonald's, we're not Burger King, we just don't have the mass quantity that they do. But I think we're pretty well known.
We go to the SEC tournament every year, and we stayed across the street from Cookout, which was pretty decent. And only eat there because we can't get that back in South Florida. So
right.
I don't know what else is there. I mean, if we walked past one of those other ones, we probably would eat it. When the tournament was in Atlanta and we would go through that center, we would eat at Chick-fil-A because that was there. So sometimes it's just about convenience and
yes.
Where you're on vacation. But any thought about how, obviously you have to be Beyond Meat to offer healthier alternatives? Is that something that they're talking about? I mean, I see both sides of it. Look, we need to get healthier. I need to eat healthier myself, but you can go to places to eat healthy, and then some people like to go there because it's cheaper and it's good. It's like a comfort food.
Yeah, I mean, well, we have, like you said, the partnership with Beyond. You can order any burger, basically any sandwich, lettuce wrapped. So for those that are doing keto and low carb, you can always order without the bun. You can, customize your order all the time to not have cheese or, the extra toppings that might add a couple more calories. But, we're all about just delivering like really craveable, delicious products for our customers.
Aside from burgers, what's your favorite food?
Like QSR food?
No, any food.
Oh, any food? Mexican and Italian.
Mexican and Italian. That's not together, right? Not fusion. Where are you going this year for Gator games?
I'll be up there for the Alabama game for sure. And then I haven't decided about other games yet. I have to see, I don't know, is UT home or away? It's home because I was supposed to go to UT. Yeah. So I'll be up in Franklin a lot now. So maybe try and catch a UT game just to see, because I've never been to that stadium.
I went to the one you didn't want to be at. The one loss in like 25 years. We were there. We were killing them in the first half, and then all hell broke loose, and we had a good time overall. It's a good environment. I know you've been on some road games. Do you have a favorite Gator game that you've ever been to? Was it the championship down here? Was it somewhere else?
The 2 years ago we went for LSU. Okay. Was a great game.
Yeah, LSU
came back. Yeah.
What's on your bucket list for sports?
The Masters, because it's the one thing my dad really wants to go to. So that is my goal in life. So if anyone watching knows how to get me to the Masters, that would be great. A couple years ago, I went to New Orleans for a game, and that is just an amazing place to see a game. Final Four is on my bucket list. I haven't been to it. I've been to Sweet 16, but I haven't been to the Final Four.
Final Four, great. College World Series, another thing that people should go to. I was at the wrong game in New Orleans too when we got our butt kicked by it was in the Sugar Bowl a long time ago. We got snubbed by the in the playoff or the BCS, and then there was like they didn't really care. Got killed, just brutally.
Yeah,
bad.
I mean the worst game I ever was at was definitely the Fiesta Bowl. It was when I was working for University of Miami, Ohio State, Miami. National championship 2002.
I say I don't mind Ohio State. I know a lot of people don't. They root against them. I don't mind them because we beat them in basketball. We beat them in football. So for us, look, you got Urban. He won a few. Rooting for Urban in Jacksonville. Are you?
I mean, I'm still a little bitter with him a little bit, but I do want him to succeed.
Is Tebow going to make the team?
I think he will, just for bells and whistles, but I don't think he'll see a play. Maybe preseason.
I think they could put him in there somehow. I'm excited to see Trevor Lawrence and Etienne, and I think they're going to have an exciting.
I did love how this draft was very much like teammates.
Yeah.
Getting drafted together.
Smart. It's smart. If it works, sometimes it doesn't work.
Right.
People were great teammates in college, and they were bust in the NFL. And
I know. I do regret not going after Trevor Lawrence because South Carolina is a great market for us. Now he's in Jacksonville.
Yeah. Well, he's still got the Clemson ties. They got some good people behind them too.
I feel like he was at Clemson though for 18 years. Like, because I went to the ACC championship game when Miami played Clemson, and he was there. Maybe that was his freshman year.
Yeah.
But I feel like he played forever.
Well, when you're a star from the start, a quarterback, that's tends to do that. How about a bucket list venue? Is there a bucket list venue that you have?
Bucket list venue. I do want to go to a game in Big House.
It's overrated. I can tell you that.
Don't ruin it for me. So that from a college stadium. I'm trying to think from like a professional. I mean, I've been to Madison Square Garden, so that's great. I've been to Staples Center for the Grammys, not for a game. I like rivalry games. So like, even if you're not cheering, even if you have no affiliation to it, just being at a rivalry game is great.
I'd like to get to Army-Navy game. If you could pick one athlete to join the Hardee's team, who would it be?
Ooh.
And it could be someone you worked with before. Just, move them over.
I mean, I would say Shaquille, but I can't because he has big chicken. That's a tough one. You stumped me.
I might stump you on the last one too.
I don't know. I have to get back to you on that one.
We can come back to us on that. Do you have give me a Mount Rushmore of sports, your 4 favorite athletes, any sport, male, female, just the people you enjoy the most? Or
4?
Most 4. For
Dan Marino, Shaquille, Tiger. I gotta throw a female in there. I'm trying to think of my favorite female athlete. I mean, Simone Biles is just amazing. For this day and age, like, she is incredible, and I love gymnastics. I mean, I grew up with Mary Lou Retton, and the Sensational 7 and all those, but Simone is amazing.
Yeah, I like swimming and track and field more than I do gymnastics because the one thing I don't like in gymnastics is it's just so subjective. I know they have this stuff, but it's just a little bit too.
It's not based on speed. I get it.
Based on, you can't qualify. It's kind of on opinion, even though you can look at something and say yes. Here,
right. I mean, my favorite athlete right now is, I don't know if you're following the story of Chris Kitnick. He was the Down syndrome athlete who completed the Ironman. He won the Jimmy V award at speed. I love him.
How great was that?
That's who I will sign for Hardee's.
All right.
Because he's such an inspiration. Like, it's amazing what he's doing, and I hope he does so well in Hawaii for Kona. And I think he's doing great things, for the sport. Ironman and triathletes and marathons, it's a very niche sport. Like, a lot. And when you look at it, like, only 1% of the population has run a marathon.
Evan's doing his first full Ironman on this Sunday in Lake Placid. He's done a couple of halves.
Oh, he's doing Lake Placid? My friend did Lake Placid.
Doing a full at Lake Placid.
Are you going to watch?
You know what? It was funny. My sister asked me if I wanted to go, and I was like, I thought it was next weekend, which I can't go. And I'm trying to I looked at flights. You have to rent like a private jet. It's like 24
Yeah, it's a far drive. We went up. But I have to say, watching an Ironman is just, I mean, it's not as exhausting, but it's a lot because you have to like know when they're coming by. But it's amazing to see when they call your name and say you're an Ironman. Like, it's no better feeling.
I follow him on the app, so I know what his rate pace is, and then I mean, I'm proud of my brother for so many things, but to be able to do that, the half, and now that he's going to complete,
that's awesome.
hopefully the full is, it's just an incredible feat. I don't know why anyone would want to do it, but I applaud everyone who does.
I'm fine with my short little distances. I actually just signed up today for the Miami half. I'm excited for it to be back.
Half that's pretty crazy too. It's a lot on your body.
Yeah.
We'll let you out of here on the same question we let everyone go with. You can pick one person to spend a day with. They have to be living. You can't be related to them. Who you're going to pick, and what are you guys going to do? We're putting a list together. We've done some outreach. We've had some ridiculous answers that I probably can never get, and we've had some very doable answers. Putin was probably the most ridiculous answer. We can't. I don't think we can make that happen. But it doesn't have to be sports. It could be any person. Brent, he keeps telling me Fishing with Joy, you have to come on the show and be a guest. We need to do something like that.
I would want just to spend the day with Billy Joel.
Billy Joel, that's our first there. But that's a great choice.
I grew up he was my first concert. I've always loved him. I've seen him a bunch of times. I mean, Lady Gaga and Michelle Obama would probably be my other two.
Yeah. What song? What's your favorite Billy Joel song? Do you have one?
So I have two. This Is the Time will always be my favorite. It was on my bat mitzvah video. And Lullaby.
Lullaby. Okay. Very good. Well, he's on the list now. The great choice. I love Billy Joel. He's on my Mount Rushmore of music. Billy Joel would be, along with Tom Petty, and it would be another one. Gainesville's finest.
One concert I never got to see, and I'm so upset.
Oh, yeah, I've seen him a bunch of times. He's great. Even when he was back, his live shows, when you listen to them on YouTube, you can find some really good live ones. They just give you chills when he starts, the way he sings and has the audience going. Anyway, Billy Joel, he's on. Brent does have a Billy Joel connection. We'll have to see if it can. His sister is a Billy Joel, a fanatic, and they know someone who knows someone. I don't know. We'll try and use it. Really appreciate the time. It was great to hear more about what you're doing now, and following you when you were looking. Glad to see that you got something that's it seems like it's going to be a real good fit for you.
Thank you.
And hope you do great things with the brand, and look forward to see what happens. I'll be at the Alabama game, so come by and have a gummy worm or something to eat, and then we'll see you soon.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Robyn. Everyone have a great day. We got another episode tomorrow.